Andy, were you surprised, really, that Zack Wheeler has become what he's become in his career?
Yes, I have to say. Having watched this guy, he was an A-ball when the Mets acquired him for Carlos Beltran in 2011. So I've watched his whole minor league trajectory, watched him play, interacted with him as a person, and I was wrong about him. I thought he was going to be okay. But when he was with the Mets, he nibbled a little bit. He deep pinch, 100 pitches, 5 innings kind of guy for the most part. He started to find it just towards the very end.
Of course.
Right, as would happen.
Yeah, just before he left, he started to find.
But he didn't
Murphy.
He didn't have that feeling of, like, he is a Verlander, a Scherzer, a guy like an ace type. He's got the makeup, he's got the presence, he's got the big game, dominance, all those intangibles of an ace, and I did not see that in stuff or personality. When I interact with him now, I see a different guy. I see someone who's got a family, who's older, who's more comfortable in his own skin, who's happy with a good organization, a good place. So that's what's happened. But Wheeler, all the credit in the world, he's exceeded what most people expected of him that knew him as a Met.
Yeah, I mean, he has been tremendous. You think about it, Harvey and Syndergaard and DeGrom.
Yeah, and he's the one.
Matt Wheeler, last one.
No one would have predicted that in 2015.
Yeah, all right, Hannah, how does the Wheeler extension here impact next year's starting free agent pitcher class?
Well, it's not as good. I think even after having that discussion, it still feels like maybe we're not emphasizing enough how much Zack Wheeler has been the most valuable pitcher in baseball over the years that he was on this contract. I mean, truly, that was like a diamond out there in that free agent class, someone that you could sign who didn't have a lot of mileage on his arm. Matt Gelb, The Athletic, wrote about this actually in relation to the extension, that part of the reason they felt really comfortable doing this extension is because he's a guy who hasn't thrown a ton of innings, so despite his age, like, that would have been a really wonderful option. And Tyler Glasnow is the other one who, if he hadn't signed the extension with the Dodgers, that would be interesting. What would he do in this last year before free agency? After that, it does get a little thin. And you mentioned that you thought that perhaps Corbin Burns would sign an extension with the Orioles. I'd be really interested to see that. The Athletic looked at what that extension might look like. They estimated 8 years, $260 million. The Orioles can afford that. So whether or not it's as an extension or maybe even in free agency, I could really see Corbin Burns sticking in Baltimore. And even if it's not him, the Orioles should go after some of the other free agents next year because they have such a young, cost-controlled position player core. And after that, it does really thin out. Max Fried, Shane Bieber.
Don't.
Verlander.
I don't want to hear those two names. Off of that.
You scared her. She didn't even want to say it.
I knew what was coming.
I was running through every
I knew
possible
what
name.
was coming. So off of that, Todd, I've been talking about Montgomery to the Mets for a while, not only because of this year, more importantly, though, moving forward, they need arms to fill out their rotation. You look at some of these top arms starting to come off the market already. Who knows who's next? So, Todd, do you think the Mets should go after Jordan Montgomery now?
Yeah, first of all, Sal, I got to say a couple of quick things. I thought the screen froze there during that dramatic pause before Verlander was mentioned. And I think we can go back to the videotape at some point. I always loved Zack Wheeler. I thought it was a huge mistake when they didn't re-sign him and they brought Stroman in. And, it's proving out. I saw what he's become. Having said that, look, do I think that they should go out and look at a guy like Montgomery? Yes, I do now, because obviously the time that it's taken for him to get pulled down off this free agent market when he thought he was going to be when Scott Boras thought he was going to be one of the top guys, and he still is, but you can't imagine that his price tag is going to be the same as it was. With Senga going down, I don't see any downside to really making an effort to try to sign him. I don't think he's going to be an ace, but he is a guy that they could have here for a few years. And even though I think a big part of the philosophy around not going after him early was want to see what we've got in the minor leagues. We have Senga leading off the top of the rotation, and they weren't necessarily all in on this year. I think some of those things have changed a little bit, and he might be a guy that would look nice in a Mets uniform.
Yeah, I mean, bottom line is they're going to need pitching. So if it's not Jordan Montgomery now, it's got to be somebody, maybe two somebody's next offseason, and then hope to develop some guys as well.